All right. Good morning, trader. Thank you so much for tuning into the morning brief. This is Corey. A lot going on this morning. Essentially, let's pull up the S&P futures here. So, of course, Friday was a holiday, so we didn't really have any trading in futures that day. Not even a half day, which, if you were here on Friday, you would have known that I was sorely disappointed about. So it's a little bit weird. One thing I just wanted to mention is that my data got, well, my data is off on NinjaTrader right now, so we're going to be looking at the S&P on TradingView today. It's going to be a little bit weird, and I will do my best to kind of fill in the blanks, so to speak. But anyways, so because Friday was a holiday, we have two overnight sessions consecutively. This was Thursday night, and then this is yesterday's overnight, so Sunday night, essentially. So this spike right here is where we closed on Thursday. If we look at Thursday's activity, we can see that we had a trend day. This is where we opened, where this big volume spike came in for the regular trading hours. So this volume profile right here represents the full session. So it's a full 24-hour period basically. So you can see that we closed on a spike. This is right after we broke with strength above 4,000. And you can see the significant amount of absorption around this $4,000 level. Sorry, I was just reading the chat and I was like, what? So we closed on a spike, and of course, we don't know definitively because the market just kind of ran out of time, so to speak, whether or not this spike will have been confirmed or not. It was confirmed, however. We were able to balance in the overnight session, and then we balanced yet again last night. As it stands currently, we are retesting the previous all-time high that was set in the Globex session, which is another way of saying the overnight session. So we're currently retesting this all-time high. We've got like 50 cents. Looks like we're one tick shy of the all-time high right now. So essentially, what I'm looking for is a break of the previous all-time high. And then for us probably to balance up here a little bit, find acceptance above this level, and then for continuation higher. So I am looking for the trend to continue. My bias is most definitely long today, and the only thing that I would say is that, let's see, I can probably pull this chart up. Okay, so yeah, this works. The only thing I would say is that we're really extended right now. So this is the daily chart of the S&P, and these bands back here that I just highlighted. So this is these bands are last month's VWAP. So as you can see, relative to last month's VWAP, we are above 2 standard deviations. So this is the second standard deviation band right here. And we're above that, which basically means God, it is a huge ways down to VWAP. Literally, VWAP is like right here from last month. So that's a lot. and also we were going up on very low volume on Thursday. So Thursday's volume was sub 1 million contracts, which anytime you get below 1 million contracts in a day on the S&P is very, very small. So that was my only real concern, was just our distance to VWAP, the low volume, and I forget, there was one other thing that I talked about in the weekend wrap. Anyway, so that's just, although my bias is long and I will stay that way until something tells me otherwise, I think the market is definitely overdue for a correction. So that was the only point I wanted to make. As far as the news goes, there was some pretty big news over the weekend. So New York State became the 15th state to legalize recreational marijuana. So I am definitely looking at pot stocks today. I think Canopy's up a little bit in pre-market. And I know that I looked on Market Chameleon, and I don't know this company. The ticker is just Leaf, Leaf, but they were one of the most active pre-market stocks here. Yeah, LEAF up 21% in pre-market. So I guess we'll switch over to equities here on that note and take a look and see what's going on. And as far as your question, Yalaman, I am primarily a scalper, I would say. When I'm trading the S&P, I'm kind of going for I mean, I'm not one of the kinds of scalpers that takes like one tick or two ticks or something. I usually try to get at least 2 to 5 points or 2 to 7 points, something like that. So I'm in and out in like 5 minutes basically. Um, I wouldn't call myself a I can't even talk. Momentum trader. Jeez, it's too early for this. And I'm certainly not I don't even know what you mean exactly by a volume trading. But no, I'm primarily a scalper if I had to give myself any sort of like classification. So this is Leaf that we're looking at right here, and you can see that we are retesting this pivot high up here. I have a couple new tools. This is a volume profile that gives us all the daily volume profiles, per session. And then I have a longer term volume profile over here on the left, which you cannot see. That guy. So anyways, we're testing this pivot high up here on Leaf. It's already up 20 some percent, and I really try to avoid getting in on something that's already moved that much in pre-market. So I would probably need to wait till the open to see if we're able to take out this pivot high up here, and then consider maybe taking an entry. But I mean, it's already gapped up this much, that's pretty serious. So there's CCIV. We'll take a look at that. One other thing that I wanted to talk about really fast. So if you've ever taken a statistics class, you've heard the term standard deviation before. So a standard deviation is kind of like a it gives you a definition of like normalcy, like how normal something is or how abnormal it is, and everything that falls within one standard deviation. So 68% of the volume is going to fall within one standard deviation. And then so 34% of the volume is going to fall beyond one standard deviation. And once you get up beyond 2 standard deviations, it's only 5% of the volume. So basically what that tells us is that if we have something that's already moved 2 standard deviations or more, then there's like a 5% historical probability that you're going to see any continuation. So what I mean by that is if something's already moved beyond 2 standard deviations in pre-market, then you only have a 5% historical probability of getting continuation. So that's one thing to keep in mind, and you can apply it to VWAP as well. Like we're above 2 standard deviations right now on VWAP. So historically, we should only have 5% of the volume trading above that level, or excuse me, that's even less than that. It's 2.5% because we would have 2.5% above and 2.5% below. So, case in point, just if something's already moved to standard deviations, it becomes riskier and riskier, as price progresses. So, anyways, let's take a look at CCIV here. Very nice setup. So we had this area of balance down here, this little box, and we are testing the high of that box right now in pre-market. So I'd be looking for a break of what would that be? Fridays. Yeah, we're literally right at Thursday's high. So I'd be looking for a break of that level, for us to come back in and retest this zone, and then potentially break in higher. So I think this is a great setup. Let's take a look at Tesla. And keep them coming, guys. Makes this a lot more interesting. Tesla gapping up massively in pre-market. Holy Jesus. Okay, so that's the gap. Sorry, I missed it just by a smidge. Let's try that again. All right, so we are gapping up here. That's where we're currently trading at. Let's see. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Let's switch to 1 hour. Okay. So we have an area of balance, right, kind of in this serious chop zone in here, and we're right at the high of that area of balance. So basically, I'd be looking for us to break above 711, and then to get back up into this range. I mean, that would ultimately be my target. So I think if we can break above 711, we'll probably come up to 780 and retest that resistance. And then here, I'm going to write down MVIS, retest that resistance, and then potentially break up into that this higher area of balance up here between 8 and 900. But yeah, I'm going to go switch to like a 5-minute temporarily so we can really see what was going on in the volume profiles from last week. Okay, so here's Friday's session right here. Well, actually, April 1st. Okay. So yeah, here's Friday's session, and you can see that we've already, I mean, really, it's like an outside bar basically. We've taken out the entirety of Friday's trading. So everybody in here got trapped. So probably a lot of stops got triggered when we took out that high. And like I said, we're right at resistance though, so we basically just want to see what happens on the open, because that will ultimately, determine if price needs to like pull back and retest and then it'll go, or what exactly. So yeah. All right, let's take a look at MVIS. But yeah, most definitely long on Tesla. Okay, so we're still on a 5-minute, so let's zoom out. Let's go to like a 30-minute here. All right, so what would that be? The 31st of March. What day of the week? I think that's probably Wednesday. Yeah, that was Wednesday. Okay, so Wednesday, you can see we had this massive spike here. And then Friday was basically just like a retracement. So it's kind of turning into like a bull flag, which I like. That was some pretty aggressive selling on the downside, but we gapped up slightly in pre-market here. So ultimately, I would be looking for us to kind of start grinding higher and then hopefully retest and take out that previous pivot high just above 19 bucks. So as long as volume is starting to pick up, I think it could be solid. It looks like, yeah, you can see how much higher volume was here relative to where it was on Friday. So if you see good volume on this, I think there's a good chance that we could potentially take out that pivot high. I don't know what happened on Wednesday to cause that huge spike. But yeah, I mean, right now it looks decent enough to me to, pull up a long position. So yeah. Okay, I want to take a look at what oil is doing here real fast. So we'll look at the CL futures. All right, let's zoom out. Let's go 1 hour. Okay, so last week, we had really big volume trying to break us to the downside. They weren't able to do it, and then the longs came in and put in this outside bar and trapped out all these shorts. And then we were basically testing this resistance zone. The $62 level was kind of my line in the sand. As far as things go for now, we're still just kind of in balance right here, balancing between 58.50 or $58 and $62. So I'm not seeing any big opportunities at the moment. Oil just seems to be in balance. So, and thank you, Sully. You just made my morning. Appreciate that. All right. Also, so Palantir is up in pre-market. I think it was up. I saw like maybe 3%, and I was actually in this from last week. I still have a long position on. You can see that we're gapping up here and retesting this previous pivot high. So this is actually a pretty nice setup. It hasn't moved like so much to where I think that traders would, becoming responsive and trading counter trend. It hasn't moved that far yet, but we are taking out this key resistance, and if we potentially get continuation here, I think we could come up, retest the $25 level, and then potentially grind higher. So ultimately, I think this is a really nice setup as well here on PLTR. So. All right, well, we got 12 minutes till the open, guys. Let's take a look at what's going on the economic calendar this week. So, let me zoom in on this just a smidge. Okay, so today we have the ISM non-manufacturing PMI. So that's Purchasing Managers Index. It basically just shows how much the people that the NNOX. Here, I'll write that down. So the PMI is like new orders, employment, and deliveries. So it just kind of shows how if business activity in that sector is picking up or not. Tomorrow we have the EIA short-term energy outlook. So that's primarily going to be like oil, natural gas, that kind of stuff. That's at 5 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. And then we also have JOLTS job openings. I put Feb on here, but it's actually March. So this shows you like the number of job openings at the end of the month for the previous month. Crude oil on Wednesday, and then also the meeting minutes for the FOMC 2 weeks prior come out as well on Wednesday. Thursday we have initial jobless claims, so that's unemployment. And then Powell is speaking on Thursday. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that would be noon Eastern. And then Friday we have the PPI, the month over month. So, and then as far as earnings goes, there weren't really any big earnings this week. We've got Carnival Corp, Paychex, Lamb Weston Holdings. Thursday we have Constellation Brands, so that's going to be Canopy Growth's parent company, as well as Corona, and ConAgra Foods on Thursday as well. There were some IPOs on Thursday, but nobody over 500 million market cap. And then here's like the sector analysis for last week. So last week, tech performed really, really well. Healthcare was kind of. I mean, the main laggard last week was bonds. So it was definitely risk on. So that is that. Awesome. Okay, so let's check out NNOX here. Oops, not that. NanoX Imaging Limited. Okay, where is this thing at in pre-market? Holy crud. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about when I was talking about standard deviations. This thing gapped up absolutely massive. So this is a daily chart we're looking at now. It gapped up literally over $20. And I don't think, I mean, the further you get out like this, the smarter it becomes to trade in the opposite direction. If something gaps up like $20 like that, and it's, you know, really, really, really extended, like I said, the wiser it becomes to start looking for a trade in the other direction. You know, because if people think that price has become too much at a premium, then it's unfair for the buyer, and therefore you're not going to get any continuation, and the sellers are going to start coming in and fading that move. So something that's gapped up this far, you know, the greater the likelihood that people are going to become responsive and take the other side of your trade. So just be careful with that. I really think this move is I mean, it almost looks like maybe the biggest move this thing has ever encountered as a stock. So just be careful with that stuff. That's all I'm saying. But potentially, I mean, if we open and then it starts to reverse, that could be a really good counter trend trade. All right, yeah, 8 minutes, guys. So I got time for probably 2 more. If anybody else has equities they want me to take a look at. Hey, Wandering, just saw your message. Just gonna pull up Market Chameleon really fast and see if there's anything else decent here. Oh, GameStop is down 13%. Jesus. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so potentially a decent short entry here on GameStop. So you can see that we had this V bottom here. We came back up, tested the trend line, and then retested it on a lower low, lost momentum, and now somebody brought in a very heavy short position, and we gapped down strong on the open. So essentially, I'd be looking for us to continue lower here, to be, let me get a different color, for us to continue grinding down, ultimately taking out this pivot low, and potentially further. So, you know, it's a little bit hard to say. It could potentially bounce and get a higher low like that. But as it stands for right now, momentum is definitely bearish, and I would not be trying to get long anytime soon, personally speaking. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here while we're at it. By the way, guys, there's the new micro-sized Bitcoin futures contract that's going to be released on May 3rd. So it's like 1/10 the size of a Bitcoin. Okay, so whoops, cancel BTC, and I want Coinbase. There we go. Okay. So here is Bitcoin. We're still on an hourly chart. We're trading right around 58,000. So this here I'm gonna switch to a 4-hour really fast. So this $60,000 level has really become a line in this. It's a really strong line in the sand. We've tested it several times, and we haven't been able to break above it. So at this point, it's pretty much what I would consider a weak high. I saw that I think it was J.P. Morgan. They changed their target price for Bitcoin to $130,000. So I definitely think that we have the capacity for higher prices here. Potentially, like I said, this is a weak high, but we're definitely struggling. That being said, though, we are putting in a higher low right now. So potentially, I'd like to see this thing start grinding up here. And I think if we retest, if we can continue from right where we're at, grind back up and retest 60,000, the propensity for a breakout is very high. So as long as this higher low can hold here, I think we could potentially get a breakout. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we got 5 minutes till the open here. I'm probably gonna wrap things up. Oh, SPCE. Then we'll wrap things up here. All right. So this is Virgin Galactic. Looks like it's gapping up just a smidge in pre-market here. So this is actually a decent long entry. You can see we've got our low, and then we have a higher low. So I'd be looking for continuation to the upside here, retesting this pivot high around 36 bucks, with more potential to the upside. So for a long-term swing trade, I think this is a really, really great entry point, because you've got you've got a lot of headroom, lots and lots of a very, very high risk reward trade, or low, I should say low risk to reward. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. So again, I will be on tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Trade smart today, and don't forget to mark your calendars for Powell speaking on Thursday. So awesome. All right, guys. Wish you the best of luck. And like I said, be careful. The S&P is pretty extended, so start thinking about and trying to identify the signs of a correction here in the next couple days. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.